In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make a tulip sleeve. This is very easy to make and it's beginner friendly. If you would like to see how I made this, please keep on watching. And I also want to thank all returning subscribers. You guys are amazing. And if this is your first time checking out my video, you're also welcome. Please subscribe to this channel if you're yet to subscribe, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Let's get into the tutorial. So these are the things I'll be using in today's video. I have my fabric, I have a plain and an Ankara fabric. I'll be using them for the sleeves, and I have my lining piece, and I have my hard gum stay. Then I'll be drafting out the pattern for the sleeve on a brown paper. So I have my paper, it is folded into two. You would need your pattern to be folded for this sleeve. So you can see I have my pattern folded. From the edge of my pattern, I'm going to take a measurement of 3 inches for the puff part. I want this sleeve to have puff. So if you don't want it to be puffy, you don't need to measure this. And also you can either decide to take 3 inches or 4 inches for this point, but here I'm taking 3 inches. From this line I just ruled, I will now take the normal length of my sleeve, which I want 9 inches, and to that I added extra 1 inch for allowance, for my seam allowance. So I'm taking 10 inches from the first line I have up, and I'm going to also rule across these measurements. So to have my sleeve head, I will come down by 3.5 inches from the first line I ruled up. As my cap's height, I'm using 3.5 inches, and I'm going to use my free hand to make the sleeve head. So I'm going to just connect as shown, and this will be my sleeve head. Then on the hem line, on the 10 inches line I measured, I'm going to impute half of my sleeve opening, circumference. So here I'm using 9 inches. You have to measure loosely, you don't want it to be tight. And then I'm going to add extra ½ inch for joining allowance, making it 9.5 inches. So I'm going to measure 9.5 inches here. That's what I'm going to impute. Then at the cap's height, where I took the cap's height, I'm going to take 9.5 inches as well, because half of my armhole circumference is 9 inches. So I'm also adding ½ inch joining allowance to that measurement. So I'm also measuring 9.5 inches at this point, and I connected it to the measurement I have on the hemline. So now for the puff, that is where I'll be needing these 3 inches I measured. So from the folded part of my paper, you can see how I'm just going in a little bit to avoid it to be too sharp, and I'm reconnecting back. I'm making my puff, taking the measurement for my puff and connecting it back to the sleeve head, as you can see what I did. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. Now that I've cut it out, I would open it up. You can see my crease line, that's the center of the sleeve. I'm going to rule across the center so that it will be more visible. Okay, so this is what I have. Now at the sleeve head, from the center of this line I just ruled, I'm going to measure towards this side. I'm going to measure 5 inches towards this side. From the center, I'm going 5 inches to my left. Okay, so I measured 5 inches to my left, and then from the center also I'm going to measure 9 inches downward. Okay, so you can measure 9 inches, you can measure 10, you can measure 8, depending on how open or how close you want the tulip to overlap. So I'm measuring 9 inches here. Okay, so I'll be connecting this way and down this way. So from the center also at the hem part, I'm going to measure outward by 4.5 inches. So you can see all the points I've made, and I'm going to connect all these points together. So I'll start with the 5 inches I measured upward. I would connect it to the 9 inches I measured downward. You can see how I'm connecting it, and then I'm going to connect it to this 4.5 inches I measured outward to the hemline. So this is the connection I have. you can see what I have. So I would go ahead and cut this out. So after cutting this out, I will be needing 2 pieces. I would have to cut 2 pieces for a sleeve. Okay, so I would use this pattern. First of all, I'm going to notch the center at the sleeve head. I'm notching the center. Okay, it's quite important. That center of the sleeve, I've notched it. So I'm going to put my fabric on fold to cut 2 pieces. Okay, I'll cut 2 pieces for this Ankara and 2 pieces for the plain fabric. That's 4 pieces for 2 sleeves and 2 pieces for 1 sleeve. So I would go ahead and cut this. So for the lining pieces, I cut 4 pieces for the 2 sleeves, 4 pieces for the gum stay, and I would be ironing the gum stay on the lining pieces. So I also transferred the notch I made on the pattern to the fabrics at the exact same point. Okay, so that notch is important to have it. So now I have my pieces, 1 piece of the Ankara, 1 piece of the plain fabric for 1 sleeve. Okay, so we'll be working on 1 sleeve. So you see how I've placed them right sides facing each other. To join now, I'm going to place them right sides facing each other, and at the hem at the side I added 1/2 inch seam allowance, if you can remember when I was drafting the pattern. So I'm going to join them together this way at the side by 1/2 inch. On my lining, I've ironed my gum stay, and I've also joined the lining the same way I joined the main fabric, and I ironed the seams open. Okay, so I'm going to use the lining to turn the main fabric. I've placed right sides together, the right side of the fabric and the right side of the lining, right sides facing each other, and I'm going to sew this side, the lower side. I'm going to sew it with 1/2 inch seam allowance. I would notch and top stitch towards the lining side. So after doing all this, I've ironed everything to relax. So I'm going to bring the notches. You can see where I made notches on the fabric. You've seen my notches, so I'm going to bring them together. So you decide which side you want to overlap the other, and you bring the notches together, and then you sew this head, the sleeve head, this way to the other end where they overlap. So I've done that. I've sewn them together where they overlap each other, and this is what I have. So the next thing I'll do now will be to pleat the sleeve head. I'm going to use hand needle and thread to pleat it, and I'm going to pleat till I get 18 inches, which is the circumference for my armhole. So I'm going to use my hand needle and thread. I've already done that. I've pleated it. So you pleat to get the armhole circumference you're working with, and this is what I have. So this is it. This concludes this tutorial. As you can see, this is quite easy to make and it's beginner friendly. So thank you guys. This is what I have. All I have to do now is to attach it to the armhole of the dress I've already made. So thank you for watching, and please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. If you're yet to subscribe to this channel, please click on the subscribe button to subscribe now, and also click on the notification bell beside the subscribe button so that you'll be the first to be notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.